Do we know what American values are anymore? And I ask this legitimately. Growing up during the Cold War, I never once questioned it. I knew it was about freedom and equality and the separation of church and state, and about common decency overriding oppression and fear and a greater agenda. I had two very different interactions this weekend getting coffee. Yesterday morning, I went into a Panera on my way to get my car serviced. I grabbed a cup of coffee. There was a gentleman there who was nursing a cup of coffee, and he was clearly not dressed for the Northern Virginia insanity that is winter, where it's never quite warm or cold, and then it's both. He was in a t-shirt and jeans and talking, and we got to talking, and he was concerned about the weather, and I didn't think too much about it at the time while I was waiting for them to change out the coffee pot. And then I realized that he was a homeless vet. And in talking with him, I realized that I had an obligation to make sure he was warm for the day. So I left Panera in a t-shirt and jeans because I gave him my sweatshirt. Not a big deal. This morning, I went to my favorite diner, which is literally across the street from where I live currently, because every Sunday I go for eggs and coffee and have for 10 years. So I know the people that work there really well. They are multi-generational Americans who happen to be Hispanic, and they are the nicest people. And they will sit and talk with me while I have breakfast, and we have some very interesting multicultural discussions and a lot of political ones, because they fall across the entire spectrum. And I find that interesting just in general. This morning, I was not fully awake yet because I hadn't had my coffee. And a gentleman came in and very loudly said that he needed a real American as a waiter and not a pretend illegal immigrant as a waiter. And my waitress very calmly stood up and said, "Sir, I think you're in the wrong place then. This is a 1950s style diner with a muscle car hanging from the ceiling and the jukebox constantly playing 50s songs. You can't get much more American." And this guy grumbled and stumbled and used a bunch of slurs and laughed. And I was taken aback because it was too early in the morning for me to defend anybody. I literally stumbled awake at hearing this. And my waitress, who was very calm the entire time, just turned and looked at me after he left and said, "Do you need a refill on your coffee?" We live in a very fractured America right now. I just saw two very separate portions of the United States, and I live in a third. If I keep my mouth shut and walk down the street, nobody looks twice at me, despite the fact that I am a gay Jew intellectual who probably opens his mouth and pisses off a lot of rural America. And that's how it should be. The United States is a melting pot. It is the best of the world in one place. That is what we are. And to try to make this country anything else, you're wrong. You are just wrong. And you are the reason that this country has gone from being something that I was proud to be in my 20s to almost 50, and will continue to fight for, but am deeply ashamed at what we've become. Do better.